Hey guys, to an older PvE players, Explosive Arrow is probably one of the more nostalgic skills, and I haven't played it with Explosive Arrow in a very long time, so I kind of wanted to revisit Explosive Arrow and see how it feels to play Explosive Arrow these days. And I wanted to do non-ignite, and while playing I was experimenting with this and that, and I could not decide if I like it or don't like it, and I did not invest as much as I could into this build and did not min-max as much as I could, but the damage can be alright, it just has some couple issues. So I'm gonna talk about couple methods of how you could increase the damage and just in general how the explosive arrow works these days, because it is a bit different than what it used to be. Also, I have a little issue with my lips, so I'm gonna try to make this quick. So because explosive arrow now has the base crit chance equal to your weapon crit chance, and it also copies the weapon damage to add to the explosions. I went with the Solarine bow, which does have a lot of flat fire damage as implicit, and then I bought this bow. I did not really try to craft it, but ideally you want +3 bow, very fast attack speed, very high crit chance, crit multi, stuff like that. Actually, additional arrow could be useful, but that could be very expensive as well. Another thing, explosive arrow stacks up to 20 fuses, and the fuse duration does not get refreshed when you reapply a new fuse. So you have to apply those fuses very fast, faster than ever before, and you can use like a barrage support gem to help with that, but that lowers your damage a lot. There are also a couple other ways. I believe, I'm not sure if that has changed or not, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I tried using Ballista totems with the explosive arrow, and it doesn't work that way. If the Ballista totems hit fast before you, then your damage is gonna be bad. Like Ballista totems basically don't help at all. Actually, I'm not entirely sure if I understand how explosive arrow works, the fuse stacking. It's a bit confusing the way it's worded in Wiki. It sounds like every single fuse damage does matter, so you can't really stack a bunch of small fuses fast with like a barrage ballistas and then just one fuse from your own to do good damage. I believe so. I could be wrong. I tried it, like I said. I tried using ballista totems, and they basically were doing nothing. Another trick is to use Hydrosphere. Now, I did some math, and in the end it wasn't really worth using Hydrosphere. Now, Hydrosphere, you would normally think, oh, you're just gonna double damage because of Hydrosphere, because you shoot the boss and you shoot the Hydrosphere next to the boss. It stacks onto the boss and to the Hydrosphere, and both go boom and do double damage. But actually no, Hydrosphere does not get like conditional modifiers, like it does not get cursed, so you don't do as a high crit chance and crit multi against the Hydrosphere. It just doesn't have all the conditional modifiers that the boss would have when you're fighting it, like exposure for example. So Hydrosphere doesn't actually like double your DPS. And if you do the math, if you removed all those conditional modifiers and you do the math, if you shoot multiple projectiles without a GMP, you would obviously have a lot more damage per fuse. And a Hydrosphere and the boss would explode at the same time, basically doing a lot of damage. But is that damage gonna be higher than if you were to use the barrage support gem without a Hydrosphere? And the answer is not really. So, at least to my calculations. So in the end I decided to not use Hydrosphere because it's annoying. If the boss moves, you have to move Hydrosphere, you have to position it very well. I'm using fire shot, so I have to attack from basically across the screen to get the maximum distance, to get the maximum damage, which doesn't really work well for the Hydrosphere because of how arrow fly in a cone formation and spread out, so it just doesn't overlap with the Hydrosphere. But the issue with the barrage support gem is that by the way, since this is Deadeye and I took the fire shot, the barrage projectiles have like no spread, so it shoots in a straight, perfectly straight line. The issue with that is if the boss moves just a tiny bit, you kind of miss all the arrows, and sometimes it also feels like I'm doing no damage. I'm not sure if there is a bug. There was some kind of a bug before, but I believe it was fixed. But there may still be some kind of weird things happening. But the damage can be really good sometimes, and other times it's just kind of alright. You can definitely squeeze out a lot more damage out of this. If you check PvE and Ninja, you're gonna see some insane builds, but with like lower life and questionable defenses and stuff like that, and some mirror items. So I'm not sure how other people playing with the explosive arrow. Don't think that many people playing, but the clear speed and leveling is actually very satisfying, and I don't actually use less duration because that would basically prevent me from stacking up to 20 fuses. If you want to use this for the clear speed, you can definitely get the helmet enchantment. You can also believe get divergent explosive arrow, one of those that has less skill effect duration but allows you to stack to 24 fuses, which makes no sense because you reduce the duration. So how are you gonna stack to 24 fuses? I don't know, but some people are doing something like that. Maybe you could do like a Mirage Archer setup, like a secondary setup. Shoot your main arrow, then use the Mirage Archer skill, and then that helps stacking. By the way, I did experiment and try to use the what is it called, Occupying Force, the two stationary Mirage Archers. Yeah, it wasn't really worth it in my opinion. It wasn't really doing much. For the clear speed, it feels kind of alright, but for the clear speed, you shouldn't need that. Like, you don't want to add another delay for your clear speed. And for a single target, I know I never really see where those mirages are and never really plan on them. In the end, Farrul seemed like a better choice. By the way, you do not want any pierce, chain, fork, or anything else because well, apply fuses only on the last hit. So if it chains, if it forks or stuff like that, we do not leave fuse. It would leave the fuse like if it pierces, it would leave the fuse behind the target. So that obviously isn't good. So if you're making a build around explosive arrow, make sure you don't have any chain, pierce, or fork. I'm not entirely sure about the split. That probably also doesn't work. The split comes from Sniper's Mark. By the way, I'm using Assassin's Mark. Other than that, I'm using Farrul's Force because I never really used it before. And Farrul's Force basically generates me frenzy and power charges. So I don't need to worry about generating power charges, don't need to worry about frenzy charges, and it does that automatically. I don't have like maximum frenzy or power charges, so it's only free. What else am I using? I'm using Crown of the Tyrant. That's like a simple way of getting a lot of damage very easily and a lot of life. Other than that, I'm gonna leave path for building import code as always in the description. You can analyze this. Now for some other conditional things, I should actually be manually casting Wave of Conviction, but I can't be bothered doing that, so I added cast on damage taken with Wave of Conviction. For other additional damage, I'm using Ensnaring Arrow with the Mirage Archer and Combustion, which applies ignites enemies and lowers their resistances, because I am using LA Focus in my main setup. And also to lower the mana cost, I'm using Inspiration. The mana can be a bit of an issue, but since I have Leech and I have 2 mana gain for each enemy hit by your attacks, it's not an issue against single target, because when I use Barrage, I'm hitting 6 times, already refunding 12 mana. Right now costs 27 mana, and I do have leash as well, mana leash as well. So the mana is not an issue against a single target. Other than that, for defenses, this is a pretty typical Deadeye, like with the Gale Force, with the Wind Dance, and with the Dodge and stuff like that. A bit of evasion. I believe I have blind somewhere. Yeah, I do have blind on a jewel. But yeah, you can definitely increase the damage and squeeze out more. If you look at the PUB numbers, it is doing around 3.8 million with the 20 fuses. That is with the Barrage Support Gem. But that is at a 70 units distance, which is basically across the screen. Do not have 10 Gale Force because I normally don't have maximum Gale Force. Obviously can enable couple of things and disable couple of things. I only have like normal flash, no like unique. You could add Bottle Fate. Okay, it does give a bit, but do want defenses, so dodge, flask. DPS wise it's not the best, but you can see the boss HP like being chunked down. That's gonna be it for now. I'm a bit burnt out on PvE, so I'm not sure when the next video is gonna be, and I also don't have a build. I did manage to get Awakened Multi-Strike from Harvest at 5% chance, so I'm maybe doing something with that. Also, if you got some ideas what unusual thing I could do with Awakened Multi-Strike, let me know in the comments below. For now, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.